What? Okay, give me your opinion. What is Top Rank doing with Nico? I'm not saying his
No,
last
all
name.
right. Yeah, I'm turning you off. We'll talk about that later. Okay, over on Showtime, Nonito Donaire facing Raymark Gaballo comes out with an impressive knockout. I have to ask you though, were you impressed with what you saw from Nonito Donaire?
Um, yeah, you know what? Whatever. It was impressive. I mean, he's what, like 39 or something like that. He's up there. He's like a grandpa in boxing years. So yeah, I'll say it was impressive.
Really? You were impressed by that?
I mean, he's like he's claims he's clean. You get
He's
credit for
clean.
that,
He's clean. He is clean.
and he caught a nice
There's
knockout. I
a
mean,
jiggle on him when he's
what
in that ring.
was it? Cody Crowley, Abdul Kakarov impressed? Not exactly, but it was nice. It was a nice little win.
We'll get to Cody Crowley in just a bit, but I'm gonna say this: I was impressed that he got the. No. I wasn't impressed because I don't think that this fight was ever going to go any other way. Nonito Donaire was going to knock this guy out, whether he was hanging by a thread in the fight the way he was at times against Naoya Inoue, or whether he came out guns blazing like we saw against Nordine Bali. Donaire was getting this knockout. And the reason why I say that is because Raymark Gaballo lost his last fight. Let's make no mistake about it. That fight with Emmanuel Rodriguez, Gaballo should not have even been in the situation to face Nonito Donaire, but it is what it is. He got into the ring, and we saw that there are levels. Now, the thing I noticed about Donaire, and I didn't see anybody talk about it because I didn't see anybody talking about this card. Shame on you guys. But Donaire looked old to me. Like, he did not look like the same guy that we saw against Ubali. He looked slower. He looked like he was a step behind Gaballo at times. And like, Gaballo is not on the world title level, I don't think, at least. And so I was really unimpressed from the sense that I think we're seeing, and like, don't get this twisted that I'm saying like I wasn't impressed by Donaire. Like, I'm not saying that Donaire's not a great fighter, because he obviously is, and the story of Nonito Donaire this year is one of the best stories, period. Okay, it is one of the best stories in all of boxing this year, the resurgence of Nonito Donaire's career. But in this fight, I saw that, all these great feel-good stories, they have endings. And in boxing, at least, it usually isn't a happy ending where they ride off into the sunset. But I saw from Nonito Donaire that I saw that there may be, a lot slipping. And then he also said after the fight that he had his tooth pulled out and got COVID, which, okay, I'll give you a pass then. Maybe that is why. That is why maybe we I saw a less than performance from Nonito Donaire.
But like, what's interesting, and like we didn't even talk about this in like the pre-chat, but like this division went from like low key smoking hot to like dog shit in like a week. Like, you have Inoue fighting what is it, like tonight? It's not even televised.
Yeah. By the time you guys hear this, Inoue will have already knocked out this dude in one round.
Right. So that Donaire didn't like. Yeah, he won. I'm impressed because he's old, but did he look good? Really? I don't think so. I mean, like, good for what we know from him, I guess. Casemiro, this guy, I don't even know what happened. We need
to check on Casemiro. That dude apparently missed weight, never made it to the fight in Dubai, and hasn't been seen since. Are we sure Casemiro's still alive? I'm just throwing that out there.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm throwing that out there.
Listen, I'm on BoxRec. Shout out to BoxRec Gray. Look at this top, like, 10. Inoue, Donaire, Casemiro, Rigo. No one's going to fight Rigo. Ubali just got smoked. Jason Maloney, Gaballo, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Gary Antonio Russell, and Lee McGregor. Like, what? This division, man.
That just low key, if you take the top 4 guys out, or actually probably the top 3. So let's take out Donaire, Inoue, and Casemiro. Like, you guys, you're going to go off in your own little group. Actually, they're never going to fight each other probably, so just like leave them by themselves. And then just take everyone else. No, shoot Rigondeaux into the moon, probably. We don't want to see you fight anymore, Rigondo. That was, unless you're gonna joke around and screw around in the ring like you did against Casemiro. But take those 4 out. The rest of those guys are basically all around the same level, which is like, you ain't touching these dudes at the top. You could have a nice little round robin there.
And you know who we could probably blame for all of this?
Gary Antonio Russell?
No, but I'm not mad at that answer. The initials start with R.D.
R.D. R.D. I don't know who that is.
Rachel.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Donaire versus Casemiro would have, like, okay, Donaire versus Casemiro. So if you think about it, the way Donaire beat Ubali was fantastic. Everyone was happy. Literally, like, there have been very few moments in boxing where what happened gets 100% approval rating. That would have had 100% approval rating. That did have 100% approval rating. But then, if he would have fought Casemiro and knocked him out, which I think he would have, Casemiro is a very sloppy fighter. I think Donaire is just a bad matchup for him. Okay, Donaire becomes fighter of the year. In this year where Canelo became undisputed champion, Donaire would have won fighter of the year. At 39 years old, Donaire would have had a legitimate argument for being on pound for pound lists. That would have, it wouldn't have mattered what happened. It would have mattered if Gary Antonio Russell headbutted somebody and made us have to wait 25 minutes between fights. Wouldn't have mattered. Because Donaire would have lit the division on fire. And everyone would have been excited about it. And everybody would have been looking forward to the eventual unification with Inoue. But now you have Top Rank shipping Inoue back home where they're not even going to televise this fight in the U.S. Donaire pulls out of the fight with Casemiro because Casemiro refused to apologize and saying mean things. Casemiro, who knows what's going on with that guy? And Rigondo, I mean, nobody really wants to know what's going on with him anymore.
Sad, man. Sad.
What a way to tank the division.
Yeah, and then set an example for the sport. Freaking, yo, you know what, man? Like, forget me saying I was impressed with Donaire. Everything he did after the fight irritated me. This guy was like running around with his kids and it was just way too corny, man. Like,
he's 39 years old. Like, are we sure that he doesn't get a pass for being corny?
No boxer gets a pass for being corny. Yo, we're boxing. First of all, half these dudes are taking steroids. Half of them come from miserable backgrounds. This is not the sport that you need to be the pinnacle of example for. Cut it out, man. Get out of here, man. It was very cringy. I went to bed upset, honestly.
Do you think that Gabayo was more competitive than Ubali?
For sure. Ubali was just waiting to get knocked out. Gabalo showed some explosiveness that I think Donaire had to kind of adjust to before he did what he had to do.
I don't know if I agree totally with that. I think he was more competitive than Ubali, but I don't know about explosiveness. Gabayo looked like an arm puncher. I was sitting there watching how does this guy have that many stoppages? He don't look like he punches very hard. And I want to point out something that we don't talk about with Donaire enough is that he is huge for bantamweight. Did you notice the size difference between him and Gabayo? Now, Gabayo looked like he was in better shape. He looked shredded. And Donaire just looked like a guy's he kind of has that Emmanuel Navarrete body where he is able to make the weight, but he also doesn't really try to get himself shredded to be at that weight. He's just I could fight here and I can make the weight, but I'm not going to get shredded. I'm going to trust my ability more so than me looking like a god.
Guess who his SNC is?
Victor Conti?
No. R.D.
No, but Donaire's always been big. He rehydrates well, and he looked so much bigger than Gabayo, and that's a skill.
Yeah, no, I was goofing. I mean, he's never really looked super sharp and cut up, but I think the reason he looks big might be because he has kind of a dad body.
He's able to rehydrate in a way that these young dudes aren't able to.
For real. Give you that old man ass kicking.
Let me ask you this question. Right now, the two oldest champions are Nonito Donaire and Gennady Golovkin. Who do you think has the best chance at remaining a champion longer? Donaire or Golovkin?
Triple G for sure.
No, what? How?
Listen, I haven't been watching boxing forever, but definitely since the early to mid 00s. And I haven't seen a fighter who the industry of boxing has worked so hard to keep a champion since Triple G. I think. So to answer your question, I think that they'll give him preferential matchmaking until they have like absolutely no choice. I think they could drag out this Triple G as a champion thing for another like year and a half, if need be.
I think that the answer really depends on the routes each guy takes. If Donaire doesn't unify with Inoue and doesn't do that rematch, I don't think that there's anybody at 118 right now that really stands a strong chance at beating him. But like the path for Golovkin, I think is a little tougher because if he fights Murata, who I think Murata isn't like, I think Golovkin is going to walk right through him, but there is a slight chance that maybe Murata could be a little competitive in that fight and be a hard fight. But like, how many other guys at 160 are a problem for Golovkin? You think Jamal Charlo's not a problem for Golovkin? I think that's a problem. You think Jaime Munguia isn't going to give Golovkin hell? I think he would. Is Demetrius Andrade capable of outboxing Golovkin? Maybe. I'd love to see it. Those are three guys right there that well, is it actually four guys that I don't think are easy fights for Golovkin. Now, you could counter with like, well, are we sure that those are makeable fights? I don't know. You know?
Yeah, that's my thing with Triple G. Before Triple G gets any of those fights, they'll do like Triple G versus Liam Williams or something like that. Like they do a spectacular job of keeping Triple G away from like real smoke.
Well, and I also think a part of that is like this dude's waiting on Canelo. Like he really thinks that the Canelo fight is going to happen.
But it's beyond that, though. The whole industry of boxing, like, no writers will ever say, put Andrade and Triple G in the ring together and see what happens. Eddie Hearn won't say it. Whoever works for Triple G, Loeffner, if he's still involved, he won't say it. No, DAZN won't say it. Mannix won't say it. No one says it.